All right, hello again, everybody. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss with the Week 8 wrap up. It is Monday, October 27th, 2026. And yeah, it was just a day of full of blowouts yesterday, really. Other than the Jets Bengals game, at least through the first two windows of games, it was just blowouts. And I know for me personally, a lot of frustration, just things weren't going right for me fantasy wise yesterday. Especially in one league where I just got the doors blown off. But again, injuries. One of the main themes of the day. Cam Scatterboo done for the season with a dislocated ankle. Quinshon Judkins gets hurt. Saquon Barkley tweaks his groin, but the Eagles are off next week, so that certainly will help him there. But going to go through all the games here and discuss all the usual trimmings of the standout performances, the duds, and all that. So we'll start with the Houston Texans, 26-15 over the 49ers. It was a good win for the Texans. They were on the skids lately. C.J. Stroud came back, had a really good game, 30 of 39. He was nearly flawless. He threw two touchdowns, had an interception, ran for 30 yards. So Stroud really put everything together. And this was without Nico Collins. So that going forward now with Nico Collins returning next week from his concussion should help the offense moving forward. Nick Chubb got 17 carries for 56 yards. Woody Marks 11 for 62. Marks was a factor in the passing game, 4 for 49. So it looks like to be still a 60-40 split with Nick Chubb. Chubb did catch 2 passes for 13 as well. So 60-40 split. Woody Marks and Chubb, for that matter, are both flex options. You play Chubb more in a standard league. You play Marks more in a PPR league. So that's how it broke down between those two there. For the 49ers, Mac Jones throws for 2 touchdowns, but this offense hasn't looked right for weeks. They do need to get back Brock Purdy. I don't think there's any question about it. Christian McCaffrey, very tough day for him. They fell behind quickly, so they were in catch-up mode. 8 for 25 from McCaffrey and 3 for 43 in the passing game. So you very rarely see a dud from Christian McCaffrey, but this qualifies as a dud considering where he was at. George Kittle bounces back, 4 for 43 and a touchdown. No surprise there. I told you not to worry about George Kittle. He would be just fine, and he was. So no issues with him going forward. The Baltimore Ravens 30-16 over the Chicago Bears, and there was a whole to do about the point spread. It went from 6.5, I believe, down to 2.5 when the Lamar Jackson news broke on Saturday that he would not be playing. And they play Thursday this week, so you have to wonder if Jackson's going to be in there for that one as well, considering that the offense behind Tyler Huntley, and Huntley has done this before. He's come in, he's played well at times for the Ravens in the past, and he kept the drives alive in this one. Threw for a touchdown. He ran for 53 yards. So, he kept the chains moving. So, again, you wonder, do the Ravens wait another week, right? They're playing the Miami Dolphins. It's not a huge, and it's not like they're playing the Chiefs or the Bills. So they might be thinking of doing that there. Derrick Henry, a second good game in a row now. Right, he 21 for 71. He goes for 2 touchdowns. So Henry getting his season back on track. Zay Flowers 7 for 63. So all the primary guys here on Baltimore, Henry and Flowers had decent games. Mark Andrews 3 for 34. You wonder if it's one of his last games. Does he get traded? I think he will. So Caleb Williams. Let me talk about Caleb Williams. Two of the best fantasy quarterbacks this year have been Drake May by a mile. Drake May is I believe top 3 in the league. I didn't look at it, but he's putting up 30-point games week after week. Bo Nix the last 2 weeks has been absolutely insane. Both of these guys are vastly outproducing Caleb Williams, who didn't even throw a touchdown. He's been a dud for 2 weeks in a row. He only ran for 24 yards. Again, if the Bears always seem to just get it wrong at quarterback, but you can't blame them because Caleb Williams was considered like a generational talent, albeit with some maturity issues. But he is getting housed by Bo Nix and Drake May now in terms of second year, gains and development, right? DeAndre Swift, 11 for 45. He does score a touchdown. He's basically, he's pushed the rookie Monangai, to the background here. It's his job. Rome Odunze, 7 for 114. He had 2 weeks in a row where he did virtually nothing, so he put a good game here. Even DJ Moore, 4 for 73. But this offense has some issues there that still needs to be worked out. Caleb Williams is outside of Superflex. He's not somebody you could depend on going forward. Buffalo, 40-9 over the Carolina Panthers. No Bryce Young. Andy Dalton really struggled in this one. This was a get-right game for the Bills, right? They needed to, reestablish themselves, which they did. Like James Cook, one of the stars of the week. And the thing with James Cook is that if he's not scoring touchdowns, he oftentimes he's not very useful. Like he didn't even catch a pass in this game, James Cook, but 19 for 216 and 2 touchdowns, right? Ray Davis, 9 carries for 16 yards. He really just got, once this game was out of hand, he came on. But the big thing is James Cook is getting monster production, monster carries, and he goes for 216 and a monster game for him here. Khalil Shakir, 6 for 88 and a touchdown. Too inconsistent to depend on as more than a flex. Dalton Kincaid, 1 for 23. We can't use Dalton Kincaid. Josh Allen played hero ball, threw for a touchdown, runs for 2 more. So it wasn't a big volume game for Josh Allen, but again, it's all about the touchdowns, and he did it there. He was able to get it done there. All right. Tetairoa McMillan, 7 for 99, so Andy Dalton at least kept him going there in this game. But here's the issue I have with the Panthers. Rico Dowdle is such a better player than Chuba Hubbard. It's ridiculous. But he gets only 8 carries for 54 yards. That's 6.8. Every week he's over 5 yards per carry. Chuba Hubbard, they forced Chuba Hubbard into the game, 12 for 34. That's 2.8. He did get a touchdown. I mean, but what are we doing here? This is a classic case of an NFL team looking at the contract, looking at the money paid, and not making the right decision. They're using the contract as a decision to allocate who's getting the snaps, who's getting the carries, and it's the wrong decision. If you're a Rico Dowdle owner, this is very, very frustrating. I don't know if there's a trade that could materialize for one of these guys. Maybe the Giants, who knows? But it's very frustrating because Rico Dowdle is so capable of doing so much more. All right, the Eagles, 38-20 over the Giants. This one was over early. Listen, Jalen Hurts, I've said this about Tua Tagovailoa as far as being just a great, pure passer. Take all the nonsense out, whatever. Jalen Hurts is as good as anybody as well throwing the football. Like, he just throws a great ball. Everything is on the money. He throws 4 touchdowns in this one. The Giants secondary was a train wreck. He runs for 22 yards. Him and James Cook, like the 2 leaders of the week in terms of fantasy stardom. Devontae Smith goes 6 for 84. Dallas Goedert, 3 for 28, but 2 touchdowns. And I played Goddard in one league. The one league I got blown out in. And the first 2 catches he caught were touchdowns. So that's how it goes in fantasy. Like, just things weren't going right for me yesterday. Saquon Barkley, 14 for 150. And he scores. This was a classic Barkley game. He goes 4 for 24 in the passing game and a touchdown. Even Tank Bigsby goes for over 100 yards. It was all flowing for the Eagles. They were jacked up after losing to the Giants a couple of weeks ago. The Giants, celebrated a little bit too much. And for the Giants, obviously, the big story here is Cam Scatterbo done for the season. You hate to see this. We can't have anything nice in fantasy. Dislocates his ankle. He's done. So obviously, Tyrone Tracy Jr. is going to be a priority pickup, but there's already rumblings that the Giants will look into maybe Breece Hall. I even heard Travis Etienne is a possible option. I know the Jaguars have kind of moved away from him the last couple of weeks for Bashal Tutin. That's somebody that the Giants might be looking at. Tyrone Tracy Jr. is just not going to get it done. I know he was solid last year. I don't know if you want to spend your remaining fab money on Tyrone Tracy. That's just my point here. Jackson Dart throws for a touchdown and he runs for a garbage time score. This was like a Justin Fields special. I still think, and there's going to be a lot of garbage time points here, I still think Jackson Dart is a top 12 guy the rest of the way. All right, New England, 32-13 over Cleveland. Not enough has been said about A, the great coaching job done by Mike Vrabel, and B, Drake May. Like, Drake May has so far now been the best quarterback in that class, and that class looks really good with Bo Nix. You have Michael Penix playing well. Caleb Williams is still, obviously he's still not there yet. And Jaden Daniels is obviously a gem. But Drake May is now challenging Daniels for superiority in that class. He has been absolute like blockbuster fantasy points every week. He throws for 3 touchdowns in this one. He runs for 50. So Drake May is Josh Allen, 6 years younger, right? I don't think there's any question about it. The numbers don't lie. Like Drake May every week is 25 plus fantasy points. And again, I didn't look at it. I would assume he's top 3 in fantasy points at the quarterback position. And even better here, Trayvon Henderson gets 10 carries. He rips off 75 yards. While Ramondre Stevenson was going in quicksand, 14 for 34. Maybe this gets Trayvon Henderson. If somebody dropped him, I would pick up Trayvon Henderson. Maybe this gets him going. But man, Drake May just went crazy in this one. For the Browns, again, the only players you're playing here are Harold Fannin, who had a good game, 6 for 62, and he scores, or Quinshon Judkins, who was awful, only 9 for 19 before he leaves injured. That's as far as it goes here. This is a really tough season for the Cleveland Browns. All right, Miami 34-10. I stand by my assessment on Tua Tagovailoa. He throws a great ball. This was not an easy assignment. The Falcons have a tough defense, but Tagovailoa went bonkers, 4 touchdown passes. They play the Ravens on a short week this week, but Tagovailoa was on point. He has these pretty games where he goes 20 for 26 like he did in this one. Devin Achane, 18 for 67. He has not run the ball well all year, right? He just hasn't. It's been all through the touchdowns. He scores again. He scores every single week, 5 for 24 in the passing game. Achane has been really good. Jalen Waddle, 5 for 99. He scores again. Jalen Waddle has been really taken off in this offense ever since Tyreek Hill got hurt. But does he get traded? I don't know. Kirk Cousins did nothing in this one. Bijan Robinson, like a rare, just nothing game for him. 5 plus fantasy points, 9 for 25. They fell behind early. Drake London not playing. Kyle Pitts goes 9 for 59. It was just an awful game for all involved with the Falcons, and this should quiet the talk about Kirk Cousins being the better option there. The Jets, 39-38 over the Bengals, and you got to be sick if you're a Bengals coach or fan. Why are you throwing the football when you have the lead late in the game? 3 straight passes, you run the ball, right? You got Chase Brown, who had a monster game. You had the running backs, both of these guys were Samaje Perine were great, and the Bengals just literally throw this ball away. Joe Flacco, though, listen, in super flex leagues, yes, he throws for 2 touchdowns, he runs for another. And Chase Brown, we've waited for it all season. He goes for 100 rushing yards last week. This week he scores twice, 12 for 73, that's 6.1 a pop. He goes 3 for 32 in the passing game, 2 touchdowns total. But Samaje Perine had a big game as well. He goes for 94 yards and scores a touchdown. So, listen, it might be a 50-50 share. But if you're a Chase Brown owner, like I am in 2 leagues, you take what you can get at this point. Jamar Chase, 12 for 91. No Sauce Gardner made his day easier. How about T. Higgins? 1 catch for 44 yards, but it goes for a touchdown. Now, let's get to the Jets. Kudos for Justin Fields, that clown of an owner, ripping him publicly. You could say, oh, he's the owner of the team, he can do what he wants. Nonsense. Like, you don't do that to your player, especially your starting quarterback with a rookie head coach. You made his job harder. You made Aaron Glenn's job more difficult by calling out the starting quarterback who had to start the game because Tyrod Taylor can't ever stay healthy for more than 5 minutes. But Fields throws a touchdown. He throws a 2-point conversion. He runs for a 2-point conversion. Good for him. Good game. He shut up that owner for at least a week, and he deserves to start next week. And how about Breece Hall? Is this his last game for the team? I don't know. 18 for 133, 2 touchdowns, and he throws for a touchdown. Like, good for Breece Hall. 2 for 14 in the passing game. They're still not using him enough in the passing game. But does he get traded? Do they feel hesitant to trade him now off of such a game? Does this send the wrong message to the fan base if they trade Hall off the first win of the season? I don't know. I think that is now somewhat of a factor. But Isaiah Davis also excelled. He had over 100 yards in this game altogether. And if you didn't pick up Isaiah Davis like I told you to this point, then that's a mistake on your part because he could be a big-time weapon the rest of the way. Tampa Bay 23-3. Listen, I'm a Baker Mayfield owner. There will be a crisis point later on today, so count on it. I'm not going to get into it now. I'll save that for the video. He's not right physically. The bye is coming at the right time. This team is destroyed with injuries. They're throwing to guys right off the street you never heard of. It's bad, right? Rashad, no Bucky Irving, no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. I'll get into Baker Mayfield a little bit later. For the Saints, they benched Spencer Rattler. I think Tyler Shuck is going to get the start next game. Alvin Kamara, 6 for 21 in the running game there. I don't even think, did he catch a pass? Yeah, he 2 for 24. Like, he looks completely shot. Maybe trading him, getting him into a new environment will help. Rashid Shaheed, 9 for 75. Chris Olave, 8 for 63. So it's still a very concentrated target tree among those two guys. Chris Olave has been great all season, no doubt about it. Indianapolis, every single game they're scoring 38 points, 38-14 over the Tennessee Titans. Listen, my biggest miss of the entire season is Jonathan Taylor. I told you not to draft him. I had my reasons. Long injury history, lots of wear and tear on those tires. But my God, he's been the MVP in fantasy. If the season ended today, Jonathan Taylor's the MVP in fantasy. This is the Jonathan Taylor from 3 years ago, where he just ripped off games like this week after week. He scores 3 touchdowns again. I think he's done it 3 times already this year. He goes for 153 on 12 carries. Right? I mean, you got to be kidding me. Did he catch a pass in this one? I don't think he caught 2 for 21, and he scored on that one. So Jonathan Taylor, biggest miss for me this year, no doubt about it. And Daniel Jones, MVP votes are coming your way. Daniel Jones, 3 touchdown passes. There's nothing more you could say. Listen, the Giants got their quarterback now. I think both sides are happy with it, but it just goes to show you the level of dysfunction for the Giants, that they couldn't get anything out of this guy. I've always said I like Daniel Jones, and I'm happy to see it. But man, this offense is clicking on all cylinders. Now, Denver 44-24 over Dallas. Denver every week is a puzzle. Like against the Jets they did nothing. Against the Giants they did nothing for 3 quarters. Until they went nuts. Bo Nix, though, 4 more touchdown passes. He's done this how many times already this year? Bo Nix would be drafted ahead of Caleb Williams if the season ended today. J.K. Dobbins goes for 111. R.J. Harvey, though, had 2 rushing touchdowns, so it's now become like a 65-35 split between the two. Cortland Sutton had a decent game. They're spreading the ball around. It's working. Dak Prescott, no touchdowns in this one. Listen, if you're a Jake Ferguson owner, like when you have a day like this where you're starting tight end, because he was started everywhere, he's been catching touchdowns every week, he's been money, and then he gets nothing. He gets an absolute ghost egg. Like, how do you not design a play just to get the guy the ball on like a 2-yard out just to get him going? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? Javonte Williams was lucky to score twice in this one. He didn't really do a good job running the ball. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens both catch 7 balls. If you're a CeeDee Lamb owner, it's not the best thing that you wanted to see here as far as Pickens, having a decent day. You want CeeDee Lamb to get the lion's share of touches in this one. But yeah, man, that was just a frustrating game for Dallas all across the board. And then last night, Tucker Kraft, 33 fantasy points, 35-25 comeback win for the Green Bay Packers. Josh Jacobs was running in quicksand himself in this one. Aaron Rodgers, they got off to a big start and they couldn't do anything in the second half. Tucker Kraft goes 7 for 143 and 2 touchdowns. Just a big game for him. So, guys, Crisis Point videos coming up later today. Hit that subscribe button, and I will chat with all of you later.